Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Anthony.
Today we're going to answer how crypto transfers at death. So we're going to answer a crypto question from Haley. And the question is, how does crypto transfer on death? Thank you for your question. We're always happy to try our best to answer these new and complicated questions. Okay, so we've covered this topic in previous episodes. Janice, I'm sure, will help put the links in the blog post.
Absolutely.
But we're happy to answer Haley's very specific question here. And here's the specific question. Is the will required to be probated if the beneficiary of the will has access to the Coinbase holder's account? Okay. So I want to make sure I understand this and, make sure my answer has the right underlying assumptions. So you basically, I think what Haley is saying is that she has the username and password for the online account on Coinbase. And she's asking, okay, when the person passes away, and since I'm already, named in the will as a beneficiary, why do I have to go through probate? Can I just, handle or access the account? Does that sound like what she's asking here?
It does. Yes. Yep.
Okay. So the answer is, to answer the question, does the will require to be probated? Yes. To legally access that account, you must probate the will. Just because you're named, first, let me back up. So individual Coinbase accounts do not have beneficiary designations, at least not yet. And most major exchanges don't. This is not specific to Coinbase. So a formal beneficiary designation would mean that upon death, it is technically your account. Okay? But that doesn't appear to be the case here. So what you have to do is you have to submit your letters testamentary and an original death certificate. There's a whole process, right? There's a package that you send into Coinbase. And when you do, then they will grant you access. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I actually submitted some questions to Coinbase, and we'll hopefully be able to get some answers for a future episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all very, very substantially similar to if you're dealing with a traditional bank or brokerage. If instead of a Coinbase account, you're talking about a Chase account or a Fidelity account, just because you have the username and password, you don't just dive in there.
Right. Right.
You have to go through the process, right? Make sense so far?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking when you asked the question is a bank. You may have the banking passwords for the decedent, but you can't just go in there and start transferring and closing and doing whatever.
Yeah. And that's Haley's next question. Could the beneficiary, could she, I guess, simply transfer those funds to herself? And the answer is technically yes. Obviously, if you have the username and password, you can do that. But you're not legally allowed to do that. And it could lead to a lot of problems, right?
Correct.
So yeah, as you just said, just imagine a bank account and just imagine you go in and you're like, oh, let me do a funds transfer or wire. I'm going to wire myself whatever's left in here. Just, because you have the username and password. Does that feel right?
No.
Does that feel different?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like it would be easy, but it is definitely not okay.
So I get the sense that it's tempting to think of these things as different situations because crypto kind of feels like not real money. I think a lot of people feel like it's not real.
Yeah. Yep. I can definitely see that.
But I feel like once you say, well, it's the same as a bank account, would you just go in, log into a bank account and empty the account? People are like, whoa, no, I would never do that.
I would never. Wait. Yeah. When you put it that way, it makes sense. Right.
As long as you make that connection, I think it becomes very clear and very easy to answer.
Yep.
So the last sort of topic on this is, this is not Haley's question, but I want to answer sort of preemptively. Like, why can't I just access the deceased's online accounts? So this is sort of a general explanation. The probate process exists to protect all possible heirs and creditors. So Haley mentioned that she's already named as a beneficiary in the will or an heir in the will. So like this is kind of cutting out a lot of middle steps. I'm already named in the will. Why can't I just take it, right? Well, what if the will is invalid for whatever reason?
Right.
Whether it was not signed technically correctly, or if the person who made the will was not competent, was mentally unsound when they made it. There's a lot of reasons why wills are not valid. Then maybe you're not the heir, and you just kind of took somebody else's money, right?
Right.
Crypto. Yeah.
Yes.
Other examples would be, say, fine, the will is valid, but there are certain situations where other people would still, nonetheless, even with a valid will, be entitled before you. If the will disinherited a spouse, for example, there's something called spousal election, where the spouse has a right to step in and do certain court paperwork and take a share before the people in the will. Just one example, right? What if there are IRS, tax, or other creditors who are entitled to receive before you?
Right.
If the person passed away with, huge tax bills or other, debts, the way the order of priority works is the person named in the will gets what's left, not
correct, not before.
and the estate might be insolvent, or even if not fully insolvent, you might not get the full amount in the Coinbase account because some other things need to get paid off.
Correct.
And those are just a few examples. There's many more. Just because those couple don't apply to your situation doesn't mean that you can just skip probate.
No, definitely not. But I think what you nailed that on the head is that if you think about it like a bank account or anything you would have a password to, you can't simply, and everyone knows, well, you think they know, you can't just go in and take the money out, right? You kind of have to look at it that way.
Yeah. And that's really it. Hopefully, Haley, we answered your question, and we love trying to, wrap our heads around these crypto situations with you and with all of our listeners. Please feel free to keep firing away your questions, and we will do our best to answer.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question.
Okay, thank you, Janice, as always, for hashing out these topics with me and being my non-crypto enthusiast counterpoint.
How are you feeling about writing a book? I know we talk about this sometimes, but
it just everything keeps changing so quickly. I still hesitate to put pen to paper, but if we get the demand, I'll be sure to do it.
Maybe like a higher level, not so much a specific, because this is also fluid. Like you said, it changes all the time. Maybe a higher level for those of us who have learned from you along the way of just what is cryptocurrency, and how to set it up. Something to think about. Let us know in the comments.
Very good. Yep. Let us know in the questions and comments. Otherwise, thank you, Janice. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk next time.
Talk soon.